Hi and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking over this brand new Hornby Class 56303 in the DCR, the Devon and Cornwall Railways livery. Let's get into the video. Now, I don't normally do locomotive reviews. There's plenty of videos and accounts out there on YouTube that do the job a lot better than I would, but this model is a little bit different. It's the first brand new model that I've received in a very long time, so I thought it'd be worthy of a review. Now, the Hornby 56 has been available for a number of years now. I think way prior to 2010, Hornby released this brand new tooled Class 56. Before that, Mainline and Dapol had produced versions of the model, and with a bit of work, this model can look quite good in today's standards, with some Shoreplan parts, laser glaze, detailing, etc, etc. But anyways, we're looking over the Hornby 56 today. This is 56303 in the DCR livery, and the model comes in the usual Hornby style box. On the back, you'll see the history of the class and a history of this particular locomotive. You'll see that its route availability is 7, and the scale drawings that are there supplied by Hornby on the reverse of the box. If you want to read that history, you can pause the video now. If not, I'll give you a potted history later on in the video describing the journey of 56303. As I just mentioned, the model comes in the standard Hornby packaging that you find nowadays on its diesel and electric models, with a nice photograph of the model itself on the front of the box. Upon removal of the box, or the outer sleeve rather, you get the standard block of ice packaging that is apparent on most Bachmann, certainly Helgen and Hornby models these days. So what I'll do is I'll get it out of the box, and I'll come back to you once it's on display, and we'll have a look at the livery application. You always get your usual operating and maintenance instructions included in the box. I'll have a look through this because I do have another 56 which has the older style of lighting contacts. These new 56s from Hornby, Hornby updated the lighting socket on them, so I think it's actually a socket now rather than the spring contacts that you find on the older models. For example, the load haul 56003, which was one of the earlier releases. So I'll have a look through these once I get ready to fit a chip later on. But there's the maintenance instructions. The model comes with your usual air brake pipes, the aircon unit deflector, and standard tension lock couplings. What's interesting in this set of detailing parts is that on the old 56s, when I refer to the old 56s, in this case I mean the new tooling, the air brake pipes were actually picked out with their corresponding colours, so red, white and yellow. It looks like on these new ones they're not. Again, it's not a massive issue for me. It's quite easy just to dab a bit of paint on those and to check some prototype photos to see where they go. But there we are, there's the standard detailing pack that you get with the Hornby 56. Not bad, not as bad as Bachmann's 37 pack, which seriously needs some work, but these will do for my requirements. 56303 was originally 56125 and was built at Crewe Works, entering service in October 1983. Less than 16 years later, in February 1999, it was withdrawn. However, after 7 years languishing awaiting disposal in 2006, freight operator Jarvis Fast Line returned 56125 to service. Following an overhaul, it was renumbered as 56303. In 2009, Jarvis withdrew 56303 due to a downturn in traffic, and it was returned to Arvell at Derby. 56303 is now operated by British American Railway Services as a result of the purchase of Hanson Traction at the end of 2010, and it carries the branding of their subsidiary company Devon and Cornwall Railways. In 2021, you'll find 56303 in store at Wembley Yard as a result of a shunting accident. So that's the prototype history out of the way. It's worth mentioning that I bought this model from Collett's Models in Exmouth, Devon. I'll leave a link to their website in the description box below, but highly recommended. The model arrived promptly and was well packaged, so I'd highly recommend checking them out. Now this model is a standard Hornby Class 56. It's a little bit of a strange one because when the model was released, it didn't seem to sell very well. It's hung around on the shelves for quite a long time. And subsequently I got this model at quite a good price. I think I paid £95.95 for the model, which for a brand new Hornby Class 56 with prices upwards of £120, £130 these days, was quite a good bargain. I will mention that I didn't buy the loco for the DCR livery. The body shell will be going to be resprayed fairly soon into another livery, which I will reveal to you at some point in the future. Alongside the Hornby Class 50 and the Class 60, and probably also the Hornby Class 31, these models alongside the 56 have really been Hornby's really, I guess, their best diesel and electric models over time. The only thing really that lets the Hornby 56 down in this instance is that Hornby have not really adopted the liveries that we're all crying out for. If you think back to the large logo livery that was released a number of years ago now, you'll often find that livery, that liveried model on eBay for sky high prices. So we've been crying out for liveries that are required, and fortunately this year, 2021, Hornby have released, or they're going to be releasing at the end of the year, a BR Blue and a BR Large Logo Blue liveried 56s. So that's great news. There's so many other liveries that Hornby could explore, but I do feel that whilst they're not doing those, it gives the guys and girls who are doing resprays that opportunity to continue to earn their living. So I think it's all wins. Anyways, let's get back into the model. Straight out of the box, the model has a sort of presence. The livery application is fairly good on this model. I've seen some comments about the green that's been used. If you compare it to prototype photos, the prototype it has a bit of a satin green sheen, and maybe that's not been captured on this model, but to me, to the naked eye, it looks okay. If you look at the model now, it's got amazing bogie detail. You've got the sandpipes picked out quite nicely underneath certain wheel sets, and the fuel tank area is really nicely moulded. Moving the model around slightly, Hornby have captured the look and feel of the 56 really well, with etched fan grills and really nice roof detail with the exhausts modelled really well too. Here at the front of the model, Hornby have captured the look of the Class 56 really well. You've got etched window wipers, you've got the horn grille, which sadly is printed on and not a specific piece of moulding, but that is what it is. And you've got the multiple working sockets here as well. Obviously the model at the moment hasn't been fitted with the air pipes and aircon grid and screw-link coupling, but that'll add to the front end look once all of those parts have been fitted. Just moving into the livery application and maybe some negatives, I'll just show you that now. This might be considered slightly nitpicking, but you'll see that there's a slight blurring on the cab front between the green and the yellow. It's not the best really. It's, I suppose, at normal viewing levels and angles you won't necessarily see this, but I do feel that this area could have been painted better, I guess. For me, it's not really going to be a massive issue because the model is going to go away to be resprayed, so this area will be sorted out, for want of a better word. But it's worth mentioning that dividing line, hopefully you can see it in the video, between the green cab windscreens and the yellow front end. Slight sort of overspray there on the front of the model, but again, this is nitpicking, and at normal viewing angles you probably wouldn't be able to see that. You'll see that there's a slight blemish to one of the grills here on this side, that sort of white silvering. I don't actually know what that is. I think it may be that when the model was painted in the factory that there's been some sort of reaction, or the grills just haven't been painted at all. Again, with a bit of weathering on the roof, you probably wouldn't notice that. As this is going for a respray, I'm not too fussed about that, but I know for some people it would be a bit of a deal breaker. So again, just worth pointing out. And I think actually, to be honest, that is it. One of the grills on the other side is slightly popping out of the body side, but generally the model sort of lives up to its expectations. And I'm very fond of this model, the 56. It's a great model by Hornby, and well worth purchasing. So I think overall the model, it's a really good model. There's nothing that particularly stands out as being incorrect. The 56s had a lot of detail differences as you move up from the Romanian builds through the Doncaster to crew built locomotives. So without consulting prototype photos, which is something I'll do anyway, prior to this locomotive being sent off for respray, the model matches that prototype loco that it will eventually become. So aside from the inconsistent paint finish and the slight silvering on the grills, generally this model lives up to expectations. I'm now going to fit it with a Gagemaster chip, and from there we'll get the locomotive running and have a look at it further. So I think overall it's a really nice model, probably made even better at the price that I paid for it. As I mentioned before, these 56s now can be found upwards of 120, probably all the way up to 150. I've seen them on eBay for some of the rail freight grey ones. So for £95, in view of getting it resprayed, if I were to keep it in this DCR livery, I'd be pretty happy with the model, to be honest. The point of getting it resprayed is that actually the DCR livery is far too modern for the era that I model, and this locomotive is going to be used on a new project that I'm just about to start building, and it will suit that layout really well and the associated workings for this locomotive. So now let's go and fit it with a chip, and I'll come back to you when we're back on the layout. So there we are, loco's now been chipped. I used a Gagemaster 8-pin direct fit chip. It's what I had in stock. Eventually, it'd be nice to get the loco sound fitted in due time. So before I leave you with some running shots of the loco here on Denton Lane, let's sum up the model. What do you get for, in this case, £95? Well, the Hornby 56 undoubtedly is a great model. It follows in the footsteps of the 31, the 50, and the Class 60 as well. On this particular example, there's a couple of paint finish issues that, as I've mentioned, with this model being resprayed, eventually is not going to be much of an issue, but it could be perceived as quite poor quality control. The mechanism, we've all come to know that the Hornby mechanisms are fine. On this particular model, the fan belt has been completely done away with. On the earlier 56s, you had the fans that would rotate, but a lot of people, myself included, used to just cut the fans off, so that's a job that I don't have to do. And generally the livery, sort of lives up to expectations. I've gone away and actually had a look in detail at 56303, and the DCR logo is slightly incorrect on the model. It should stretch slightly further up towards the body side and the lower body side of the loco. But again, this is kind of nitpicking, and I think for generally the model sort of suits the period that it's meant to be depicting. Just interesting that the model doesn't seem to have sold very well, and the prototype is currently sat at Wembley Yard, having been involved in a shunting altercation. So, I mean, I've seen these models on people's layouts already, and I'm sure there'll be a few more, but I think in some ways this model will probably be more of a candidate for a respray for people rather than using the model as it is. So I'm really pleased with this purchase. Very fond of the 56s anyway, so looking forward to getting this one resprayed. So thanks very much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Hornby 56 and any other of Hornby's diesel and electric models, and maybe some of the liveries that you'd like to see on the 56 in the future. I know that I've got a bit of a hankering for a Fairtis liveried 56, so maybe Hornby should produce that in the years to come. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. I'll leave you with some running shots, and hope to see you again at some point in the future. Thanks guys, bye.